What's good, fellow Brewster? So I just wanted to give a disclaimer before moving forward into this video. It is a re-upload because in the early days of my channel, I just was shooting. I just took it as a time for you and I to just visit with each other. So I did everything very authentically and just spoke just straightforward. And to me, or what it is I am a umaholic, and is very comfortable for me as the channel is growing. I know that we're visiting with one another. I just feel like I just want to have a good viewing experience for you. Click on a video. It's gonna be the best output in my capabilities that I could give to you. So that's what we're doing. And this is just a re-upload. That video was super fun to do the early days, and we're changing and we're ever growing. And this is a new upload, and onto the list. Thank you for being here, and I'll catch you later. Peace. Welcome everybody, I'm RJ of The Nerdy Brew, and here on this channel we talk TV, movies, and everything in between, all while drinking a cup of coffee. Now if you like one of those things or all of those things, why don't you consider like, subscribing, and hit that notification bell, and becoming a fellow Brewster. So today, fellow Brewsters, this is the new version of Top 10. Now my first version of Top 10, which I put up here, or you can find it in the playlist if you want to go discover the channel. But I couldn't keep up with that kind of format, and it's been a very long time of doing clips and edits and trying to change up things and not get copyright written strike. And that was just a lot to do with how busy things are outside of YouTube. So I still want to produce the content of doing top 10s. This is a little bit more informal, but this is what I'm bringing so we can continue the conversation down in the comments. And today's top 10, fellow Brewsters, is top 10 Batman animated movies. Now, this is not an empirical, peer-reviewed, take it as absolute fact, list. But this is just a list that I came up with. These are my favorites, and I would just like to know yours. And this is what we're gonna get into with the list. And I'm going to start off with my number 10, and my number 10 is Batman Soul of the Dragon. Now with Batman Soul of the Dragon, I've always loved that particular origin side of Batman, where it just goes into not him doing his work as Batman, but to know that he did his martial arts time, and me being a comic reader, them infusing the best, or him even studying with the best martial artists inside of that, and introducing Richard Dragon as a Bruce Lee analog, and then having the 70s aesthetic. I absolutely, or the blaxploitation, or the 70s, yeah, I said it right. I just loved it, and I just had fun. I had a lot of fun with that movie. That is my number 10. Now my number 9 is Batman Gotham by Gaslight. Now I love murder investigation movies. We'll talk about Seven, we'll talk about Kiss the Girls, The Bone Collector, but yeah, I very much so love murder mysteries. I love how, seeing the detective work trying to solve crimes, and then they introduce it, the most notorious serial killer of Jack the Ripper, and you have the world's greatest detective as of Batman. And what they did different in the movie is not only making it an Elseworld story in that time period, but I loved how in the comic book it was just some dude. You see the dude, you know the dude. It was just some guy. It was nobody really important. But in Gotham by Gaslight, they did a very good twist, and his motives behind being Jack the Ripper. Not only that, he was a formidable foe. I'm not gonna spoil it. There might be spoilers, throughout the rest of this, but I enjoyed that very much so. That's my number 9, Gotham by Gaslight. Number 8 Gotham Knight. And Gotham Knight was interchange movie, interpretweakle, coined it here first, between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. And it also goes into, you know, some of his training. It goes into what's going on in the city with the mob. It's 8 different animation styles, but goes along as one story. There was one story where it was like developing new technology, and you can see why they developed new technology inside The Dark Knight. We're talking about the sonar stuff. But in this movie, that was the only vignette that I didn't really like that much. But there was the story of working through pain and his time as young Bruce in India and learning to channel that, and he had to deal with the philosopher. And I just really enjoyed that that movie. A lot of people don't like that one that much, but for me, I think just as continuing the story of Batman Begins, and not only that, they brought back Kevin Conroy, and Kevin Conroy is the GOAT as Batman, so I enjoyed that very much. Number 7, Son of Batman. Now, Son of Batman is part of the New 52 DC animated universe, and it was the first solo Batman movie in building that universe. And they introduced Damian Wayne, and Damian Wayne happens to be his son, right? Bruce Wayne's son. And he was raised by the League of Shadows, and they have Deathstroke being the villain. And throughout the rest of the DCAU, they carry on that movie. And I don't really like Damian that much. I like aspects of Damian, and the characterization of what they do with Damian, bringing it from page to screen, was very accurate. I don't like that he did so much damage on Nightwing in that movie, but I did like the fact, or being molded into the role of Robin, so I definitely enjoyed that. I enjoyed how vicious the movie got. It was probably like one of the first, next to Gods and Monsters. After Gods and Monsters and Son of Batman, they really took it up there with the violence. And it gets, you know, even more to be hard R. But other than that, I really like that movie in a foray into Batman and the DCAU. My 6th pick of my top 10 would be Batman versus Robin, and it is like the Quarter Owls that they adopted into that, and there was just a lot of good thematic elements that they put. Now, the Quarter Owls is one of my favorite Batman stories. I remember when I first read it, not just the visual style, but the things that Batman goes through in that comic book kind of blew me away. So then I was like, I felt excited that they were adapting it, but they really didn't. They took elements from it to concoct their own movie, but with them making their own movie, I really feel like the movie by itself stands well. The Court of Owls, or the organization, attacks Bruce Wayne and not Batman. Then there was great action, great choreography. It was cool seeing the Talons. And they kept that element of them being those assassin ninjas. I loved how they had Talon, the main villain, not be just a mindless person, and he's not like that in the comics, but just the elements of even bringing some weight to his backstory of why he is who he is. He was raised not in love, but he was raised in a place where he just had to be molded to not care as he could. I love that he had to beat a pull on Damian. I think the movie was really solid as an entrance or the sequel into the DCAU following Batman. Number 5 is Batman The Long Halloween. Now, I love Batman The Long Halloween. Batman The Long Halloween. Oh, parts 1 and part 2. And with it, I love that it's a detective story. I already said that I love investigations, an adaptation of the comic book. And now the thing about the comic book, it is very much an investigation. Batman is doing a lot of clue finding there's this murderer who's killing mob members, and he does it on holidays, and they call it the Long Halloween because it's killing, it's scary, and it proceeds to keep going, right? And they think it's they're asking the calendar man, and that's straight up out of the comics. And the thing that I did like about this movie is not just it being a good adaptation of parts 1 and part 2, but I love that they changed it up to add a little fighting, because the book is not that. It's very much a detective story. It's very much an analytical perspective on Batman and his detective work. But this one, the movie was entertaining to have some fighting, and I liked the pacing that it did, and there were a little bit of twist that was slightly different to make it different from the comic book. So I enjoyed that one. So that is my number 5, The Long Halloween Part 1 and Part 2. Number 4. Some people like it, some people hate it. I love it, but it's Batman Returns. No. Batman, The Dark Knight Returns. Yeah. Part 1 and Part 2. So yes, I'm considering this one story. First of all, I love the comic, and I love it being the adaptation. I love the work that Peter Weller did, and him being that grizzled and weathered Batman. And not only that, he was a Batman that was, he's seen enough, so he wanted to take action. And I love just the adaptation work that they did. This is one of my favorite Batman movies. I suggest you watch it. They have both of them on HBO Max. Because the words that I have for that movie is not as well translated as you watching that movie. So that is my number 4, Batman The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and Part 2. Now my number 3, it's a classic. It is a classic, and for anybody who grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s, you know, we grew up with, not only did we have Batman the Animated Series and Justice League, but they put a new twist on it with Batman Beyond. Now, I love me some Batman Beyond Terry McGinnis, and I love how he was a young Batman, giving more anxiety to older, experienced Bruce. But he had to deal with learning the ropes, and he was only 16, 17. So he had to deal with those turmoils and those kind of things. But he had tragedy of learning that his father died, and this is not about Batman Beyond. But with that being said, he gets, it's more time goes on, so he feels like he's more experienced, and he's able to take on the gangs and Jokers and feel like he's being the knight of the city of Gotham, of Neo Gotham. But he had to go ahead and go head to head with his worst villain of the Joker, and it's Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. And I said a lot of that just to get to the title, but yes, Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. Having Mark Hamill, he has never been more better. Very menacing, and he just was really a full embodiment of the character of Joker that he has been doing. I love that it was a new foil for Terry McGinnis as Batman, and not only that, it had to do with a lot of trauma that people go through and how to deal with that, and external and internal look at reconciling with things. Yeah, man, it's a solid movie. I love it. HBO Max, you can watch it on the DC Hub, man. I loved it. Okay, my number 2. I wonder if y'all was waiting for this. It's Batman Under the Red Hood. Now, Batman Under the Red Hood is another comic book adaptation, and I feel like the movie is better than the adaptation. They took things from it. Nightwing isn't really in the movie, in the book, and I like the incorporation of Nightwing, but I was also disappointed that they took Nightwing out pretty early. And not only that, I loved Jason Ackles' performance, and I know we had him as Batman, as I said in my number 5 for The Long Halloween, but he had a lot of emotion, and he just really seemed to be very vibrant in that role of Jason Todd. The action in the movie is fantastic, and just the family dynamic that they have to work through and the passion that they have to bring out, and I think Andrea Romano, who's also the greatest voice director for a lot of animated shows, was able to bring that out. So I just loved it. It's a great movie, and I probably watch it once or twice a year just to get all the feels. And with Joker, Batman, and Jason Todd all in a room together at the end of the climax is just great. Top tier performances, writing, and animation. And the one thing I love, he's like, man, I'm not talking about any other villain that you're doing, bro. I'm talking about this clown right here. I love it. It's amazing. And my number one is Mask of the Phantasm. That is my number one, Batman Mask of the Phantasm. And what I love that they were able to do with the movie was make the movie like an authentic live action movie that happens to be animated. One, we get an origin story of Batman inside, because inside the Batman animated series, he's already Batman, and he's already saving the day. So this movie has a origin story, Batman falling in love with somebody. It's even Joker's origin story. We have the Phantasm, who's very menacing, that's in the shadows, and also dealing with the mob ties and the things that Batman have to go through. Batman being framed for murder, and he's on the run, and just so many things of the past coming back to haunt you. And there's a haunting figure in the Phantasm that is also skilled in itself. It's one of the best. It's theatrical release, and I feel like that movie is one of the best origin movies for Batman. If you want to get a place of origin, that's one. And then two, if you want to follow any cinematic foray universe with the DC movies that they have, I would definitely start with Batman Mask of the Phantasm. And it just blossoms and grows out of that. Just even for itself, just the acting of the voice work and the things that they do, getting that origin of how Batman became Batman and how he was at a tug of war between being Bruce Wayne and Batman because he fell in love at a point. So it's just very great writing, a lot of things about it. To recap my top 10, it'd be Batman Soul of the Dragon, Batman Gotham by Gaslight, Gotham Knight, Son of Batman, Batman vs. Robin, Batman Long Halloween Part 1 and Part 2, Batman The Dark Knight Returns, Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, Batman Under the Red Hood, and Mask of the Phantasm. Now, those are my top 10s of Batman animated movies. I would love to know your top 10s down in the comments below, or even your top 1, you know, whatever you do. Just let me know that you're here. Thank you for coming along, having this cup of coffee with me. I'm gonna take a sip right now because I want to. This is plenty of channel. I'm tired of just holding cups. I'm supposed to have my partner here, Couch Guy, but he's busy with his own life. Sorry, that's me just venting information. But anywho, we're here, and once again, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we're gonna bring this video to an end. And I want you to be you, do you, see the bigger picture. Have a fantastic day because you deserve it. This is that channel. Peace.
On top, Kung Fu, Bruce Lee chop, moon rocks, go Red Sox, tryna go far like Boondocks, headshot, blunt stay hot, talking shit, gotta pull up on they block, you fraud, I'm